long distances to give emotional speeches to people they had never met. Up until this time, the ministers stayed like within the community. Does that make sense? Okay? They didn't travel, and now these ministers are starting to travel. If you look at that picture at the bottom of page 236, this was a movable pulpit that he took with him, okay? And it was elevated slightly so that he could be elevated up to see the crowd, and the crowd could see him. Does that make sense? But notice he's not like way up high, just enough so that the crowd could see him, okay? Does that make sense? Okay. But until then, ministers were in the church, in the community, and didn't move around. So now, ministers are traveling from community to community, passing the word along, all right? So they're not staying stationary, they're moving around. The Great Awakening helped bring people together. This led to greater religious toleration or acceptance of religious differences. At the new revivals or prayer meetings, everyone was welcomed. Poor people could attend, and women played a large role in the movement. So here we've got a couple new things happening too. Up until this time, who was the important person at these meetings?
The white men that had land.
White men who own land, right? Okay. Now women are playing a role. Poor people are in there. Okay. During the Great Awakening, both free and enslaved Africans participated in religious gatherings. The Africans are also allowed in. All right. Such equal participation was rare at this time in history. So again, we are changing our views on who is allowed into even religious events and who can participate. We're not doing it the Puritan way anymore. Okay? Notice how you're more relaxed in your positions today. Okay? All right? The Great Awakening was not popular with all people, and in time, differences split the movement. This increased the diversity of religious beliefs. The number of church members in the colonies grew, as did the free exercise of religion. Why do you think the number of members grew? Why do you think the number of members in religious congregations grew?
Maybe because they lived somewhere else no one would move, because they would believe what they had believed in and not other people.
Okay. Any other ideas? Any other ideas? If you got to practice what you wanted to, the way you wanted to, do you think you'd be more likely to join in?
Yeah.
Okay. So that might be an option too as to why it grew. All right. Unlike the New England colonies, the middle colonies were home to many different religious groups. Towns often had more than one kind of church. Think about the town North Manchester. What kind of churches do we have there? Can you name one kind? Isaiah? Christian church. Missionary. Catholic. Do you think of any others? Brethren Church, Church of the Brethren, in their Methodist Church. The German Baptist Church out on 1 or on 13. There's 7 right there, and I'm sure I'm missing some. That's the Catholic Church. Oh, Sweetwater, out by the Catholic Church. That's 8. Is there a Lutheran Church?
Yeah. Yep, there's.
Yeah, that's 9. Huh?
I'm pretty sure it's Sweetwater.
That's just in a small town in North Manchester. Can you imagine in a big city how many churches there could be?
Billion.
Okay. Does that make sense? Now, in the bigger cities, the church memberships are also larger. Okay? So like a church might have 3 church services that have like 400 in them, okay? Like in a Sunday morning, they might have 3 church services of 400 to 500. So it doesn't like multiply as much, you know, like every block have a church type thing. Does that make sense? Okay. Because each church takes in more members than we do. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. A Presbyterian church, for example, might be only a block away from a Quaker meeting house. The first Jewish synagogue in the Middle Colonies was built in New York City in 1730. Right there are 3 very different types of churches: Presbyterian, Quaker, and Jewish synagogue. 3 very different types of churches. Okay, their beliefs are different. For them to all be there and exist close together is huge in this day and time. Okay? Religion was a major part of social life in the Middle Colonies. After religious services, neighbors would talk and exchange news. Religion also changed the ways people viewed one another. Because of their religious beliefs, some colonists thought enslaving Africans was wrong. In 1688, Quakers in Germantown, Pennsylvania, became the first group to protest slavery in the English colonies. Okay? So the Quakers were the first one. What's it mean to protest? Okay? So they're not necessarily fighting, but just going against it. They're verbalizing it, saying it's wrong. Okay? The social lives of colonists were as different as their religious beliefs. In cities such as Philadelphia and New York City, people went to dances, plays, concerts, and social clubs. Horse races, sleigh rides, and ice skating were also common. But in rural areas, a barn raising was a big social event. A farm family would invite their neighbors to help them put in place a frame for a new barn, and afterwards, everyone enjoyed a big meal. Okay? So when you think about it, in the city, they did different activities than in the country. In the country, they were helping each other build things, and then they had an event. But the event was more meal rather than a big dance. Does that make sense? Not that they didn't have fun, but it was more around work. Does that make sense? Whereas in the city, there wasn't the massive amount of work-related things, so they were spending more time doing the plays, the concerts, you know, those kinds of things. That make sense? Hello out there?
Yeah.
So, if you would equate that to what chores you might have if you lived in town compared to chores that a farm kid would have.
Oh.
In town, chores might be things like taking out the trash, folding the clothes, making your bed, right?
Yeah.
To a kid that was out in the country on a farm,
Farming, picking up poo, feeding.
that would be feeding the animals, watering the animals, scooping the manure.
Feeding the pigs.
Okay? Are you hearing the difference?
Cow, no,
Now.
milking the cow.
Along with that, they go back in the house and still do the taking out trash, making the bed, you know. But that's not considered their chore list.
I have one.
Does that make sense? That's just part of their everyday, gotta get this done. Their chore list is more labor intense than this chore list. That make sense? Okay? All right? Philadelphia is growing on page 238. Would someone else like to read? The other day I didn't. Oh, we've got volunteers today. The other day you all pointed at me, Adriana.
Okay.
Read down to Benjamin Franklin if you would.
As owner of the Pennsylvania colony, William Penn planned both its government and its settlements. Penn designed Philadelphia the colony's most important town. with wide streets and many public parks. He wanted the city to have plenty of space for people to work and to relax. When Penn first visited Philadelphia in 1682, it had only 10 houses. 50 years later, more than 11,000 people lived there over time. Philadelphia became the largest city in the English colonies by 1770. It had more than 28,000 people, a small number by today's standards, but large for that time.
Okay, good. So, Philadelphia grew quite a bit, okay, in those 50 years, all right? William Penn helped lay it out because he wanted it to be a friendly place. He made sure that there was a place not only to work, but to also relax, okay? So he didn't want it to be just crammed with houses and businesses. He made sure that there were spaces for people to also relax, all right? Have any of you been to Philadelphia? Okay, good, good. Benjamin Franklin, who would like to read there? Marcus, read a couple paragraphs, please.
And artists. Most famous builders built in the beginning of the city in the first and this
Militia.
Army kept the city in the U.S.
Pennsylvania. There's that.
He also wrote and published 4 literary
Almanac.
and daily books that had a calendar, weather forecast, stories, news, and more. It sold many copies
Okay. So, Benjamin Franklin is well known for what? What's he well known for? Yeah, but what is he well known for?
donating the first hospital.
Okay, here, but without knowing this, what is he known for?
His writings.
Writings, what else? What else?
He founded the
Have you guys heard of Benjamin Franklin before this?
Yeah, he's on the page.
What did you hear about him before?
He was a famous who made the
Electricity.
Yeah. He didn't say the whole thing.
Okay. Isn't that how you know about Benjamin Franklin? Because of electricity? Okay. So, he's very famous for that, but Benjamin Franklin must have been a super intelligent guy because he also helped train firefighters, helped raise money to set up the first hospital, okay? He set up the first volunteer army. I mean, he is not just interested in one thing. He's in it for the good of lots of areas, okay? He founded the first college and the first public library. I mean, he has his hand in a lot of things because he really wants this to work. Philadelphians wondered how Franklin did so much. He was a printer, a writer, a scientist, and an inventor. He also became a leader in the colony's government. It seems that Franklin followed the words of his own almanac. Early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. Okay? So he did a lot of really good things for the middle colonies so that they were going to prosper as well. Okay? Questions on this? All right, let's go into Google Classroom then. First off, social studies moment number 10. You don't need to open it up. I'm opening it up for you right now. You should find that in Google Classroom. You do not need to open it at this moment. You're to read it and you're to highlight 2 different reasons why people settle in the middle colonies. And if you were a colonist, would you choose to move to the middle colonies? Why or why not? You'll need to use complete sentences for that. And if you look at the directions back at the beginning of Google Classroom, it's due on Thursday, December 10th. Make sure that you turn it in through Google Classroom. I am way over people turning things in late. Please do not waste my time going back searching for it later. You will not be wasting my time because I won't be going back looking for it later. Did you hear me?
Yes.
I'm going to go in there and look for it one time. Did you hear me?
Yes.
Once. It's due December 10th. It better be there. Okay? All right, the next thing I want you to look at is there's a page 53 in here. I do want you to open that up, and we're going to look at it. I do have a paper copy for everyone that's here, but we're going to look at it. Open it up, please. You're not going to turn that in Google Classroom, but I do want you to look at it so that we are all clear on what it says. But again, I have a paper copy for you, so there is no turning it in here. You have a paper copy. You're going to read each sentence. If the sentence is true, write a T on the line provided. If the sentence is false, you're going to write an F, and then you're going to correct the sentence to make it true. Now, when you correct the sentence to make it true, you're not just going to put not. Put a little not in there, N-O-T. Okay? Does that make sense? They're going to say is or isn't, that kind of thing. All right? So if I said the sky is red, and you look out, you would put an F at the beginning, and you would cross out red, and you would put in blue. So do you understand what you're going to be doing to change the sentence? Okay? You don't have to rewrite the whole sentence. You can cross out and just fix what would need to be fixed. Does that make sense? Okay? So if there are parts of this that can just be crossed out to make it true, but you should be able to fix it to make it true. Does that make sense? Are you clear on that? But I have a paper copy for you for that. If you'll notice down at the bottom of the page, page 234 to 239, those are the pages that we just read. All right? So that would be your resource to go back to look up information for it. This isn't just, oh, I think so, and slap a true false down. Does that make sense? Are you clear on that? Okay. This is due tomorrow. in paper form. Those of you at home, you have to turn it in Google Classroom. All right. Trying to think if there's anything else I need to have you do. Yes, there is. Vocab for Chapter 6 is out there. I want you to spend 10 minutes practicing it. So if you would please get started on that. Do you see it in Google Classroom? Anybody not see it? I'm pretty sure I put it out there. It's there, isn't it? Chapter 6 sometime? Yes, no? Find it?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Do we have classes today?
No, it's Tuesday. Okay. Those of you who still have things to make up for me, I need you back there getting that stuff done because I don't know when else you're going to do it. So let's get that done, please. Did you go online and do that thing with it? Did you put it up? Yes or no? You get to the back of the room, just like, okay. Can I see your social studies name and name, please? Can you just name some? Huh? You had all three yesterday. No, yeah, you're not reading home today, I think you didn't have something done, you were supposed to. You know, so, get working on it.
That's all the stuff in the book. But when it goes, it's not the book.
Bring it over here. I was already there. Give me 10 minutes, you know? Okay, I am talking to these people. I was there once. I need to tell these people first, their first time. Okay? I'm not sure the parents and the background and they're not. here you go, page 57. Oh, yes, you do have page 52. In your folder, you have a page 52. You have 53 on the back. You have the math on it. Did I give that to you already? Nope. Nope. If not, I'm going to have to go down there. All right. You take 53 and put that in. One, 6, 8, 9, 10. What? Okay, I still have to say, it's 53. Julie, it's good.
It's at the top. Page 50.
Yeah. Page, 6, 8, 9, 7. Maybe here, that was page 9, so that's page 9. And down. You didn't highlight that? Marcus, go to the back table. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. That's what's wrong. No, you weren't. No, you weren't. You were turned around. Again. Go to the back table. Where's 9? Huh? Okay, there's 9 10. Where's your 10? Figure out how to get it done. You guys need to figure out how to save your stuff if you're telling me you're doing them. Some of you have them here, some of you don't. Okay? Where's 8? Okay, people go. Hey, don't do specials up to tomorrow.
Yes,